Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to our new episode of Horizon Europe to go. 10 minutes or a bit more about a topic on Horizon Europe. Today I'm here with my two colleagues, Roman Müller and Rita De Brito, to talk about what type of mindset helps you to be successful in a EIC Accelerator proposal. If you're curious about it, stay with us. We are not going to talk about the rules or what you need to know in technical terms, but rather what is the best way to approach the preparation of your proposal. So we can start. Thank you for coming today and joining me. We will discuss briefly about the main attitude to take for this type of proposals. So would you like to tell me if when you hear a client saying, well, we already applied to many grants and now we think the next one is the right one, the EIC Accelerator. What do you think about this type of statements?
So I would actually say just pause for a second. So it's completely normal that you look for funding. All startups are looking for funding. But the EIC Accelerator is not just the next grant in sequence. So and companies need to understand what is the dynamics and what is expected about the accelerator. So the accelerator is for companies that are ready to move from the final innovation development steps towards market entry and scale. And they have the ambition to grow in large markets from one side, but also to create value for Europe. So this is an important point. So your innovation has to create value for Europe. So the right mindset, it's not what's next, so what's the next grant that I can apply. The right mindset is are we ready to move towards market entry and scale? Can the EIC help us bridge the critical gap between the breakthrough innovations and market scale? And does the funding we request match that ambition? So that means thinking beyond the grant. So not only in the next 24 months of the innovation activities that you will going to conduct, but also the commercialization and scale up that follows. So this is very important to understand what is the design of the accelerator.
Yeah. So you as NCPs, so national contact points for this program, see often people applying for the grant, but actually also many applying only for the equity. So what is your opinion in requesting maybe equity only rather than also the component on the grant?
Yes, so what's really important to keep in mind is because everybody is looking for a non-dilutive instrument. And in this case, it's an illusion to think that the EIC Accelerator is only non-dilutive, because as you said, there is a grant and the equity part. So it's really key to keep in mind that the grant is only there for technological development activities. So for example, the beta version of a software, or like the demonstration of the continuous operation of your pilot plant. And there is also this need, as Rita mentioned, to actually demonstrate that there is this high-risk aspect. And this is also at this moment that usually investors are a bit kind of hesitant if your technology is not at the right level, that they can actually have certainty that it will reach the level that will then be put into like a commercial success. That's where actually the equity part, the public funding, being put by the EIC Accelerator can really make a difference. So having a catalyzing role to get other investors on board. And to the point that if you only apply to the grant, you have to demonstrate at the proposal stage that you already have the means to actually fund on your own ground the commercialization and also the scale up. So if this is not your case, you have de facto to also go for the equity request. So in the end, the mindset is really not like, how do I avoid giving equity away? It's more like, what do I need in terms of both grant for the breakthrough innovation to get to the right level, and how much equity also do I need to then commercialize and scale. So it's this mix that has to be kept in mind, and it's really also what can be critical in terms of the proposal writing.
And maybe to continue on this wave, is there a moment when a company is either coming for the request of a grant and equity too early or too late? So when is the right moment?
So I think a little bit the self-assessment from the company side is more than welcome at this stage. And the question should be, are we mature enough to be credible from one side, but still risky enough to need the EIC support? So you need to find that sweet spot. If you are too early, the innovation might be perceived as promising, but not yet validated. So it's too risky for any investor to invest. The same would be for the accelerator. If you are too late, then it becomes the question obvious. So why what is the remaining high risk step that justifies the public support? So building on what Romain already mentioned, the accelerator fits when the technology is validated in a relevant environment, but still faces real risk to getting to the market. So my advice would be, don't try to fit the program. Be honest, do the self-assessment about your stage, your market readiness, and your financial gap. So this would be a good way of seeing if you are fit for the accelerator or not.
So also another thing that seems recurrent is the word ambition. Whether your proposal and your project is extremely cool. Is this a buzzword? Is there any reasons to avoid it or actually to use it more and more?
I would say more than use it, you need to show that there is ambition. So when the ambition is a balance, so it's not, you need to show in your proposal and your application, so let's say as a whole, you need to show that you have a vision that is big enough to justify the EIC support, but concrete enough that will convince also the evaluators that will read and will go through your application. So it's not enough to say the market is huge, we will be global in tot amount of years. So you need to show how that will happen. And most importantly, your ambition needs to be backed by evidence. So customer interest or early validation, the milestones. So everything that will help, again, evaluators perceive that what you are proposing, it's really ambition. So a credible ambition, and to sum up, is not to say we will become the global leaders in 3 years. It is showing how big vision can be delivered, the first market that will approach, the route of expansion, the evidence behind your assumptions, and how do you protect your advantage, and why this team can deliver. So all together, you need to convince this and put this ambition in the proposal.
And if I may add, if you are still unsure whether all these points are tackled, of course, Rita and Roman are also here to support you with proposal reviews. So you can get in touch with them and they might help you to phrase better or to understand whether you are meeting all the points that they are showing us today. Maybe another practical tip from your side. So what would be a very good advice you would give to an applicant to apply for the accelerator?
Yes, and this can be actually counterintuitive in this case. As you've seen now, the EIC Accelerator is a bit of a special instrument by itself, by its design. And so the first advice is not to start by writing 20 pages about your technology. Because start with the end in mind, and the last step of the process of evaluation is pitch in front of a jury, which will actually, of course, cover a lot of the technical and technological ground, but also a lot of the business aspects of your proposal. And in this respect, it's really interesting to start with the pitch. As Rita was mentioning, thinking about your level of ambition, it's also thinking about, okay, what solution for which client? What are they willing to pay? What's my IP strategy? Then to protect my revenues. Then also what's my go-to-market strategy? Which team do I have today? Which expertise do I need tomorrow to develop my product or services and then launch it onto the market? And also to realize, okay, why do I need the EIC funding for? That's something that some of the applicants sometimes forget, is just to highlight and outline, okay, why do you need the funding for? And this really makes a difference because it's also a structure you align our thoughts, both on the technological development part, but also on the investment part of commercialization and scale up. So this would be the first step, the pitch, and the second step, again, would be counterintuitive to what you used to prepare when it's for grant only in this case. It will also be a financial annex. So there is a financial annex that has to be put together. And there again, it's really critical, especially if you're in front of the jury, they will definitely ask questions about all your financial plans, what you want to achieve, and how all the figures are matching across the next years, so that it's really a valid and solid plan that you put together. And then, of course, after you can write a proposal itself, but really our advice is to start from the pitch, financial plan, and then go for more the proposal writing by itself.
And if I might just add, get feedback early enough. Don't come and ask for feedback just close to submission. It's really important. It's where you will have the opportunity to make a strong proposal.
Good, so we are coming toward an end. I was quickly checking on the platforms if there is any question. Not really, but of course, do not hesitate to include your questions in the comments if you have any. Also, after the live session, we will take care of them to make sure that they are answered. Okay, so we are closing. Maybe wish to give a last call to action to the people listening today or in the next days?
Yes, so the big takeaway is definitely the EIC Accelerator is there for your startup if you have the ambition, the maturity, and also the financial savviness to really take a breakthrough high-risk innovation onto the market. With this in mind and reflecting on what we already shared today, if this is for you a fit, then we have, as also Mika was mentioning, services to offer to you. Come early. And we have two opportunities coming up. We have one this week on Thursday, we'll be in Bern at 21st of May for the startup days. And there you can join us. We have a session exactly on the EIC Accelerator, also with an EIC beneficiary and also investors. So join us to know more about how it is happening also for all the different players. And we have a promo code, which is EU, like European Union, S like Switzerland, 20, and red as the color. So EUS 20 red. So this is for this week. And by late of June, we will have an applicants training where you can join us and learn more about the tips that we learned along the way, and we're happy to share with you.
Good. So thanks for being here today. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time, always at 12:15 on June 1st. Goodbye, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.